your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sactown Sports.
Yeah, we'll get to Brandon Ayuk situation, but right now, special guest joining us, former head coach with the, I believe, the Manhattan Jaspers, Drapes, in addition to University of Massachusetts and, of course, Villanova. CBS Sports college basketball analyst Steve Lappas with us. How are you today, Coach?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're doing fine. Thank you so much for your time, especially on a Friday. Hey, can you just tell us here, we're still trying to sort this out, what kind of player do you think the Kings got in Devin Carter?
I love Devin Carter, and I'll tell you what, the biggest thing in basketball, my son's an assistant coach at NJIT in New Jersey, and I tell him all the time, recruit guys, even if they're not as talented or whatever, that play hard. Well, this is a talented guy who plays extremely hard on both ends of the floor. He's not afraid of the moment. I know people have, talked about his three-point shot. His three-point shot this year was so improved, and he made a bunch that I saw in the arena from deep range. But the thing about him is he does everything. He will rebound now obviously at 6'3". He will rebound. He will defend. He will play hard. He will make shots. He will play in transition. I think he's a great addition. And his father's an assistant coach in the NBA. So he grew up in this. And, a lot of times when you grow up in this, it's not too big for you. Mm-hmm. I think this is a kid that kind of thought this is where he was going to be. And I don't think that being in the NBA is going to be too big for him. I really like this pick a lot.
Love it, Coach. Coach Kyle Draper here. Thanks for jumping on with us. Why do you think he fell to the Kings at 13? A lot of mocks had him top 10. What do you think it was that may have scared some teams off? Or they just don't know what they're doing out there?
Well, listen, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. There's no question. And I think a lot of people might have questioned his size. At 6'3", he's not a point guard, really. He's a guard. And I think people might have gotten scared away on that. But, when you think about it, I've been on a bunch of radio shows the last couple of days. And for Dalton Knecht to fall to where he fell to the Lakers, I thought was bizarre. I thought he was a top 5 pick. So it's a matter of what you like. And I'm going to guess that with Devin, they probably thought maybe a little small. And maybe, can he be a 2-guard in the NBA? Can he adjust to being a point? He's just a really good player, and he's one of those guys, I think he's going to find his way on the court because he is a winner. And when you play hard like that and you love to play like he does, good things happen.
Steve Lappas is with us from CBS Sports, his college basketball analyst, of course, former head coach at a number of schools. Coach, you touched on something that to me is fascinating when we talk about drafts. You talked about this guy who loves to play and play so hard. We've seen guys come into the NBA, and I think that's one of the reasons some guys seemingly mysteriously fails because they don't want to play, and no one knows that until it's too late. Could you speak to how difficult it is? My understanding is there are some players that think they're playing hard when they're really not. And I know dealing with young men, as long as you've been a coach, you've probably seen a lot of attitudes on that.
Well, you know what? It's funny because I can't tell you how many times I sat down in my office with a kid and said, you just don't play hard enough. And he thinks he's playing as hard as he can.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand that he's not playing as hard as he can, or he's not competing as hard as some other people. Mm-hmm. And you know what happens? These kids, obviously, that can play in the NBA are all very talented. But everybody does. A lot of guys, they're talented, so they play basketball. They don't play basketball because they love to play basketball. This kid Devin Carter, he's the type of guy, if he was not drafted and he wasn't making any money, he would probably play 5 days a week. And, you know what I mean? Because he loves to play. And, I think the same thing. Look at a guy like Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson gets picked in the second round, okay? Nobody could predict that he was okay. But one thing about Jalen Brunson, he would play the same way if he was making no money as now when he's making $25 million. Those are the guys you want to find. They're hard to find. And a lot of times they're hard to put a finger on, but if you can get one or two, and really that's what the Knicks have become. Mm-hmm. That's why the Knicks are good, because they got a bunch of guys like that. That's where you want to get to.
Hey, Coach, what do you make of the international players, 3 in the top 6? collegiate players, not in the 1 and 2 range. What do you make of just the way the draft shook out with the number of international players at the very top of that first round?
Well, this year was not considered a great draft, though I'm pretty high on Reed Shepherd. I'm pretty high on Stephon Castle from UConn. I think those guys are going to be really good players. And, let's face it, the Europeans have done an unbelievable job catching up to us with our game. 20 years ago, you would never see 2 foreign kids pick first and second in the draft. As a matter of fact, last year, Wembanyama, another French kid, this year another French kid goes first in the draft. So, that's kind of where the game has gone so international that it's almost not a big deal anymore. Foreign kids are getting coached extremely well. And a lot of those coaches in Europe, I'd say, are very innovative, especially when it comes to offensive schemes and things like that. So it's not a surprise, and it wasn't a great draft, even though there's no doubt there are going to be a couple of guys come out of this draft that are going to end up being stars.
Catching up with Coach Steve Lappas here with the Drive guys. And, Coach, I wanted to ask you about Devin Carter's jump shot. As you pointed out, he was the numbers point out that he was an excellent three-point shooter last year, but that I don't know if it's a hitch or the delivery is a little unorthodox. Do you think that could be a concern headed to the next level?
It is a little unorthodox, but the one thing that he has developed really is incredible range. Now, is he going to be a guy that's going to take 2 dribbles and pull up from 3? That's not what he is. But he's the type of guy where, if somebody drives it and his man helps a little bit, you kick it to him, he'll be ready to stick it. He's not going to stick it off the dribble, but he will stick a ton of them off the catch. So, no, he's not a guy. I wouldn't call him he's not Reed Shepherd. Let me just say that in terms of shooting, but he's a guy you've got to respect. You cannot leave him alone. It's like a guy like Stephon Castle, who got picked 4th. He's a guy that I think NBA people right now are going to test. They're going to lay off at him and let him take that shot. You're not going to let Devin Carter take the shot. Now, he may not pull up on you or things like that, but you have to respect his ability to make that, and you can't help as much as you may want to.
That's good stuff right there from Steve Lappas. Coach, when you look at the draft, who are some guys that, slipped? Who are some of these winners that, they found some diamonds in the rough, some guys that other teams slept on?
Well, I think to a degree. Now, he got picked in the first round. Baylor Shireman from Creighton was a guy I'm really high on. At 6'7", 6'8", knockdown three-point shooter, was one of the leading defensive rebounders in the country at his spot. So I think he's a guy who has the potential to be a star. And then you look in the second round, a kid like Jamal Shed from Houston, playing for Kelvin Sampson, plays so hard. He's a guy who's so tough. And there's another guy, loves to play, plays hard every day. So you look at those kind of guys. Tyler Kolek, I thought, was a really good pick for the Knicks to back up a guy like Jalen Brunson. Another kid who just loves to play, smart, understands the game, coachable. I think those are a few guys that, you can see maybe really good things happen for that came in the second round.
Steve Lappas, our guest here on Sactown Sports. Coach, how about Dalton Knecht? What's your best guess as to why he fell as far as he did?
Let me tell you something. I have no idea, and I'm going to tell you this. I watched him on tape a lot this year, and then I had him I did the regionals for CBS this year in the NCAA tournament, so I had Tennessee and Purdue, and I'll tell you what, you watch a guy on tape, you get a good feel, but when you watch him live, you really get a good feel. So sometimes when you see tape, you watch a guy live, you come away, not as good as I thought. Then sometimes you come away and say, wow, this guy's better than I thought. That's how I felt about Dalton Knecht. He is a tremendous athlete. He also, people pigeonhole you into being like, oh, he can shoot. He's a shooter. Well, he's more than that. He can go off the dribble. He can finish in transition. He's got long arms, so he's really longer. He's really taller than the 6'6" that he's listed as. But I think he has the potential to be a star. And it's amazing that he's a kid that was at Northern Colorado, and he transfers, and he's the SEC Player of the Year, and he's a first-team All-American. I love Dalton Knecht. I think the Lakers got a big-time steal right there.
Oh, great.
I'm with you, Coach. Dalton Knecht was number 1 on my board for the 13th pick. If he was there, I said Kings take this guy, Dalton Knecht. He's ready to come in, and I agree 100% with you. Coach, for all the talk about this being a weak draft and no consensus number one, you expect some all-star level talent down the road to come out of this draft?
Yeah, but I'm not going to sit here and try. Now, I think Dalton Knecht is one of those guys that has that potential. But it's so hard to sit here and to try to think. I think the kid from Duke, McCain, that the Sixers got,
yeah,
a tremendous shooter, a tough. There's another guy, tough kid, loves to play, can shoot the heck out of it. So yeah, there's going to be some, but I'm not going to sit here and try to. Who would have predicted that Jalen Brunson was going to go into the NBA playoffs and score over 43 games in a row? Jay Wright, who's a good friend of mine, I see him all the time. He couldn't have imagined that in a million years. He coached him. So, I mean, it's just a lot of it is a crapshoot. Like I said, though, the biggest thing is get guys that love to be in the gym and that want to play. In other words, you get these guys, a guy like Jalen Brunson, if you didn't pay him, he'd want to play basketball every day. Mm-hmm. That's what you want. Michael Jordan was a guy, he just wanted to. The money was important, obviously, but he was not playing for the money. He was playing for the love of the game and winning. That's what you want to find.
Steve Lappas, CBS Sports, former college coach at Villanova, UMass, and Manhattan. Yeah. Coach, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Hope to talk to you again soon.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
All right, Coach.
Yeah, great. The Lakers got a really good player. I mean, we knew that. I just don't like to keep hearing it all the time.
I told you that, Whitey.
Yeah.
I told you, man. The Dalton Knecht was my guy at the top of the D list. It hurts seeing him go to L.A. It hurts.
He just mentioned MJ. I saw an MJ story today. What do you make of this? According to this story, I think some of this is based on Sam Smith's book, Michael Jordan was really mad that the Knicks got that they got Oakley in exchange for Bill Cartwright.
Yeah.
So Michael Jordan really started to see Oakley go. So he took it out on Bill Cartwright from Elk Grove, by the way. And he would throw him intentionally bad passes in practice to underscore and really demonstrate how Cartwright had bad hands. And supposedly he also told his teammates at the end of a game, never throw it to him. Don't ever throw it to him at crunch time. And Cartwright went to him and said, hey, what is this? And apparently they worked things out. But what do you think of that story, MJ?
Jordan sounds like a jerk to me, man. Let's keep it. I'm not surprised. He sounds like a jerk. What is he doing, man? Oh, my gosh. Jordan, another reason why he's not the GOAT right there.
And you win 3 championships. Like, yeah, I guess he's okay.
I guess he's all right.
We can work things out here.
Man.
All right. When we come back, Ayuk.
Yeah.
Ayuk is on fire. Next to the Drive Guys, Sactown Sports.
Sacramento weather is